KUMA's Revenge. Hello, One Piece enthusiasts, I'm the One Piece nerd, and today let's talk about One Piece chapter 1103. Flashback is finally over, Bonnie figures everything out, and we're back to Egghead Island, and boy oh boy, is KUMA the best dad or what? If there's going to be a single best dad in the world of One Piece who is actually not a father figure, like the best father, I mean, of course, KUMA isn't the biological dad of Bonnie. That goes the same for every single other dads in One Piece. But yeah, KUMA is definitely the best dad in the series, no doubt. Well, before we move on, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. Now that you have, let's begin. Well, KUMA is here to the rescue. It almost seems like a recreation of Ace, but in fact better, because KUMA's actually goddamn strong, and he's actually going to beat Saturn. I mean, not defeat Saturn, but yeah, beat him up a bit. Well, to see Bonnie's reaction after all of this, to know what KUMA has been through, and then finally seeing what Saturn said regarding the experiments that were done on both Bonnie and Ginny, it seems to me as though, yeah, she's accepted her fate as, yes, I was meant to die, and I think this is how it should be. Thank you for saving me, Dad, but I'm sorry. That is basically her message to KUMA. You've tried so hard to save me, but the luck and the odds are against us so much that I feel like I would rather die, is her message to the world. And perfect fitting, the end of the chapter, KUMA comes and saves her and proves her to be wrong. And another thing which is very interesting with the chapter is the experiment that was done on Bonnie, which was to give her the abilities of a fruit without having to make her feed her that of fruit. I wonder why it was made to distort reality. Of course, it definitely means seeing the future, and the brighter you saw your future, the more power it had. Almost like Luffy's Nika Nika, but a little limited, of course, considering that Bonnie doesn't see that bright of a future, because if things get dark. A pessimistic person, for example, specifically Bonnie in this case, won't see a distorted future that is beyond some miraculous dream, because now she's on the verge of being defeated. Whereas Luffy, on the other hand, no matter how much he's on the verge of being defeated, he believes that he can be Pirate King. If he had that fruit, I think he would be a pretty good match for it. But a very fitting fruit. It's very interesting how they did it. And of course, the Sapphire Scales was basically a byproduct of experiments that were done on slaves on Marijoa, done by Saturn himself. So, as it seems before, I talked about something along the lines of Saturn having something to do with KUMA, and it feels as though that there's some underlying grudge, some underlying thing which is beyond what we comprehend, that is there for Saturn to always go back and hit KUMA, because in one way, shape or form, because of his race or whatever his fate was. First, turning KUMA into a slave. Second, capturing Ginny, and then having a byproduct of Bonnie, and then enslaving Bonnie as well as KUMA, then letting KUMA sacrifice everything for Bonnie, at the same time still holding Bonnie captive. I just don't know what the hell is on with Saturn and KUMA, but something is sort of off. Like, no one targets one specific person time after time just because KUMA is from a different race or is from the Buccaneer race. I don't know, dude. It all feels very weird. It could be all just coincidence that, yeah, Saturn happens to be the scientist, and KUMA happens to be the bearer of misfortune that is to be that has to bear the witness for all the felonies that the Celestial Dragons commit. With all that being said, though, I feel like KUMA will get a redemption. He will see a better future for Bonnie and everyone, and for himself as well. Yeah, it's entirely possible that KUMA ends up dying here and now, but if that, I mean, considering it's so that he doesn't kill off characters. Number one. Number two, I feel like genuinely Kuma does deserve to see the light of day after what he's done, and I don't think the mess of Egghead Island is over. Saturn isn't the big bad of the Egghead Island. You guys know that by now. The Blackbeard pirates are on their way, and there has to be something greater than Saturn waiting at the end of this arc for the Straw Hats to face. This is just a calm before the storm. I mean, this is not a calm, but literally there's a bigger storm coming. If there is ever a chance that Kuma does get to sacrifice himself, it's probably not now, it's definitely later. But I mean, regardless of the fact, I still believe wholeheartedly that Kuma does deserve to see a future that is bright and not just so dim for like the way it has been. Another person's reaction in this chapter that didn't blow my mind, but is again taking a drastic change, is Kizaru. He's becoming more of a human. Kizaru's trying to show emotions. He's seen what Kuma's been through. He's seen what Bonnie's been through, and to realize that the people that you were working under were the ones behind all of this mess. And now he's starting to have maybe second doubts, second guesses, and trying to change himself, maybe trying to see the whole reality of it. Maybe Kizaru will change by the end of this arc, and I would love for him to do that. Like, Kizaru honestly deserves it for all of the things he's shown this arc. It hasn't been much compared to what most other characters have shown. Kizaru being this kind of, I follow the rules and laws, now starting to think for himself finally. Maybe it's time for retribution. I don't know what might happen, but I believe Kizaru does deserve some sort of a development after all of this build-up. Last but not least, I think Luffy will be up. Kuma will definitely throw some punches, and he will be up. Kuma will probably go down, Luffy will be up by some point, and then, we'll be done with this entire thing. I think Luffy gets back up, something happens. Another thing which I've also realized is that Saturn, there's a certain weakness of Saturn's powers. It basically goes to show that, remember, everyone around him, Kizaru, Luffy, the Straw Hats, Vegapunk, Bonnie herself, everyone is under Saturn's Devil Fruit, which means they can move for some reason, whether it be Haki or the power of his Devil Fruit. But remember, Kuma was outside his range. And Kuma gets to attack Saturn, which is insane. And another thing which happened is Luffy. Luffy has managed to eat now. He finally found food from God knows where. I think maybe the holographic fruits maybe came along. Something to do with Vegapunk again. But Luffy is now able to eat. Whereas people can't even move, Luffy can now eat. I think Saturn's starting to lose his focus. I mean, he hasn't had any sort of a beating, but now with the distraction from Kuma, I think this is the perfect time for Luffy to basically get back up. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Kuma will, put up a decent fight? Do you think Kuma will die? And how long until Luffy gets back up? So let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day, and peace.